But the democracy is not working, and that's why you're seeing the Northerners don't allow for free and fair election. Tinubu have said it publicly. When they accused him that they made him president, said they didn't make him president, that he bought the presidency with his money, which is true, and we know so. Of course, the majority of Nigerians are happy that the international community, led by the United States, are showing interest about the unending ethnic cleansings and going on across Nigeria states like Benue, Taraba, Plateau, Southern Kaduna, Southern Southern Borno, Gombe, and these are not good things for anybody to talk about. So we welcome the American initiative, but I think they should be here yesterday.
But the Chinese not they happy about answer.
That's nice. Chinese just make noise.
How?
They like to just, the Chinese will want to keep quiet, don't disturb you, do what you, if you like, kill all your uncles. They don't care as far as you are peaceful enough to do business with them. What have they done since? They kept quiet.
Me, I'm very happy with the current U.S. actions, because for me, these people have not been sincere in this, in their own participation in the Nigerian project. I am happy for the U.S. actions. I am happy for the U.S. pronouncements. Our only anger is that some Nigerians want to live in denial. I would think living in denial would not help them. And also, you have to understand that living in denial is a choice. For me, the majority of Nigerians want a stop to the killings of Nigerians by Fulani militiamen. The jihad itself is wrong. And I will continue to say this. It didn't start now. You're talking about targeted sanctions. Nigeria is supposed to be a secular state. But there are some politicians like Yerima who never respected that, introducing Sharia, which the other leaders copied. And when they copied it, that undermined Nigerian. I think what you see them doing, coups that started with the Buhari coup, that was actually done to stop the sharing of power between Christians and Muslims. Don't forget, as I said earlier, at the end of the Nigerian Civil War in 1970, Nigeria was 35% Muslim. Till this minute, Nigeria remained a Christian majority country. Check the bank records, check the travel records, check student enrollment. Nigeria remains till tomorrow morning a Christian majority country. But the Muslims use a cascade of coups to gain advantage, remove the history from our school curriculum so that there's no way you can teach the story of these coups and how they were used to create decrees that we were now forced to accept if we seek to allow democracy to come. So we have taken those coup decrees, but the democracy is not working in the ways that the soldiers wrote decrees. And that's why you're seeing the Northerners don't allow for free and fair election. You saw what happened in the last election, clearly to be won by P2. But they counseled it and said they won't allow a Christian to win. And they sold the presidency to Tinubu, and when he refused to involve them in government, they started fighting him. It is because they are fighting him.
As you believe that the 2023 election was rigged against Peter Obi.
He has said it, Tinubu said it, that he bought the presidency. Listen, Tinubu have said it publicly. When they accused him that they made him president say they didn't make him president. That he bought the presidency with his money, which is true. And we know so. That's why when they come
You
to him
think
and
that they
say,
sold
let
it
us
to
work,
him, and you think that they sold it to him, or that transaction happened, if it is true, only because they didn't want a Christian Peter Obi to be in power? Is that what you're saying?
that is what they did, because he warned them that if the problem of June 12 was a Southerner Abiola won election, it was annulled and the advantage was given to a Northerner who is Abacha. Don't do it. If you don't like the Southerner that has emerged, give it to me and look after you. But instead of giving it to him as a party man, no, they sold it to him. Because they sold it to him, he got angry with them. And every time they come to share power, he said that they sold the presidency to him and he bought it, so he doesn't owe them. And that's where the genesis of this current crisis we have. Seeing them bolting out from the APC to go from ADC, see them bolting out, and you start hearing yourself for coup. And now the Americans understanding that there are very shaky things about the leadership of the country. They now want to come in, citing the genocide as their reason for intervention. Now, me, Nigeria is not working for anybody. Happy that Americans are coming, because I've looked at the back end. I looked at Germany. Americans have a base there. I've looked at Japan. Americans have a base at Okinawa. If the problem is the base, the Americans say they seek in backward, let them come and take it. It is that we have an American base in Nigeria than we have an Al Qaeda or ISWAP base out of it. If the government, as we have seen, is incompetent in reacting to the Fulani war, then we should find somebody strong who can safeguard us. The Fulani free hand is the reason, and the fact that nobody has challenged them is the reason why you've seen them on this killing spree. When you talk, they say they also kill Hausas. Of course, in every jihad, the infidels are killed, and then the Muslims that are considered indispensable, in this case, Hausa Muslims, are being killed by Fulanis because the Fulanis also seek their land in places like Sapana, Basari, Dutsima, Kankara, and Musa. I even hear now that Malumpashi has also been taken by the Fulani. And they go as far as places like Bungudu to as far as Anka and Dangobe, even Guruyo. So the Hausas, yes, are being expanded because they are seen as undesirables, because primarily for their land. So if you now see this genocide going on like this, and they will talk and nothing happens, of course, the majority of Nigerians are happy that the international community, led by the United States, are showing interest about the unending ethnic cleansings and going on across Nigeria, states like Benue, Taraba, Plateau, Southern Kaduna, Southern Gombe, Southern Borno, Gombe, and these are not good things for anybody to talk about. So we welcome the American initiative, but I think they should be here yesterday. The Americans are wasting time. They should come quickly. If there is political will, Nigerians can defeat the terrorists in 10 days. I have been on this issue for 13 years. I
Yes, sir.
got on this issue as the crisis started in Central African Republic. And when it went from Central African Republic to Mali, I knew this was a West African problem. So in all that, I know the Fulani will never succeed because they don't have the numbers. Now, the only problem why the problem got elongated in Nigeria was because the government was actively complicit. If the US pressure can now make the government turn around, because it is in Tinubu's interest to work with the Americans, that Tinubu is with the Fulani long-term plan of appropriating Nigeria. Tinubu can use the coming of the Americans to actually extricate himself from the grip of the Fulanis. Stay with the Americans to save his own neck, stay with the Americans to then take the Fulani out, supporting the actions with his instrument as president of Nigeria. This is an option that is good for the rest of the country. If Tinubu doesn't do this, I see very dirty outcomes for our country. If he doesn't do this, he's not willing to be the man to do the job, the Americans to demand regime change. I think he has the wherewithal or the capacity to stop them because Nigeria currently is divided. Tinubu continued to employ the quality of his administration, meaning those who are excluded from governance would not cooperate with him. Nobody is going to work to put opposition to the Americans. No. The Christians in Nigeria who have been under the fire of the Muslims will want this thing to stop. So the Christians immediately are in happy embrace of the coming of the Americans. Plus, the Hausas who are also suffering in states like Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, the Hausas will want the Americans to come and do what they say they will do because Hausas are being killed. When you hear Muslims are being killed also, it is Hausa Muslims. These people are seen as expendable collateral damage by the Fulani militiamen who also seek to take their land.
Why?
Don't forget that.
Why are they expendable?
Yes. Why? Because in population, the core Hausa states without mixes like Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Kano, these places are Hausa land, but Hausas don't have control. But you see, because of the length of our democracy, Hausas have gotten awareness and they now know that the Fulani are not the very best of friends. Don't also forget that the Fulani refused to accept sociological assimilation. Obviously, we marry a Hausa woman. It doesn't happen in Nigeria. This is how divided it is. Yes, that's a fact. Okay?
Wow.
It is that bad. Fulani don't consider the Hausa as humans. As I speak to you today, no Hausa man, apart from probably the emir of Ankara or one or two other people, is emir anywhere in Hausa land. It is that bad. They have the number, but I believe
No, but
at the
it is
inception of the number,
ancestrally their lands. Is it not ancestrally? The land is a
it
land
is
not ancestrally
ancestrally their land. But you see,
so they can't even
in
rule over their own land.
in having foreigners, the first foreigners to come here were the Portuguese. The second to come here were the British. Last were the Fulani who came in 1804. But when after we got the colonial status and we got independence, the British left. When they left, the Fulani stayed. And that's why the Fulani now think that as the British left, that they should become the new colonial masters. And what is bringing trouble is the Fulani's attempt to foist a system of settler colonialism across Hausa land. Probably banking on their small success over some parts of Hausa land, they now think they can spread settler colonialism. That's where the problem is. They don't have the numbers, and this is not possible. I tell people the Fulani will fail because settler colonialism did not work in South Africa, it did not work in Namibia, it did not work in Zimbabwe, did not work in Mozambique. It's not going to work in Nigeria. This is at the heart of this crisis. The only people who are complaining about Americans coming are the Fulani. And maybe some apprehensive Yorubas who are afraid that Tinubu may lose power. But everybody is happy for the coming of the Americans because it will force a reset of society and probably force free and fair election. And if you look at all the countries where America has bases, take a look at Japan, an American base at Okinawa, and probably Germany. Stable democracies. These are great industrial nations. So I don't really see what the problem is. And don't also forget the fact that the Russians have control of Niger and also control Burkina Faso and Mali. Americans believe if Russians gain control of Nigeria, that the West is gone. So that's why you see there is an urgency when people are now alarmed that Tinubu is incompetent in securing Nigeria against the Fulani intentions. This is the reason why the West are alarmed. Never mind the rhetorics by the Chinese. The Chinese they don't count. They're inconsequential. The strategic, regional politics. It doesn't concern them. Theirs is just to sell, to have markets for their goods, and also to have supply points for the raw materials that they seek. And I know Nigeria has lithium, which we get from the tantalite we have all over the country. Of course, we have deposit of natural gas in Africa at Imo State in a place called Asa, North, Haji local government. And of course, Nigeria is very, very rich in a lot of these things. But you see, the Muslims who started in 1978 to want to dominate Nigeria, which was the reasons why, when it was time to share days of Buhari the Muslim, and it was to go now to Ekweme the Christian, Buhari struck. Buhari was later to tell the North that the reason for the coup, sharing power with the Christians, just a few years after the end of the Civil War, that they won the war. And since then, there's been a Nigerian policy against the Igbo. Why? The Igbo represent the largest bloc of tribal Christians anywhere in Nigeria. So that Muslim versus Christian animosity has continued. So the jihad has been there psychologically. We're only complaining because we've seen the physical jihad, where lives are being taken in the plateau, in the Benue Valley, in the mountain ranges, in Gimbu, and of course, in southern Kaduna, and southern Borno, in Gombe, and Taraba. So we have to understand the Muslims have been at this for a long time.
All right, sir.
This country remains, as I speak to you, a Christian majority country. Yourself, how were the Muslims able, a cascade of coups, to now hold the country in a way that doesn't work, decrees that don't allow for progress, and every time you do, they want to do coup, as you've just seen. They wanted to do coup before the DMI arrested them. If the Americans coming will help us get a reset, for us to reset our country to become democratic, where every vote will count, then I'm not against it. I believe those who are against it now are, never mind the rhetorics about sovereignty. When Nigeria last year wanted to invade Niger Republic, wasn't Niger Republic a sovereign country? Leave those issues. We're in a world of big fish must to chop small fish. Gumi has been able to get away with all the crimes he has been committing in the open. State is complicit with the killings. The Nigerian state is complicit, and that's the reason why actors like Gumi can walk the street free. Denial by criminals is a norm. You can see people and others being involved in denials, killings that have been going on for a long time. Gumi had points being at some negotiator for some of these terrorists that they kidnap people. And yet the state has not done anything against Gumi. And everybody who commits a crime against the state that Gumi commits, any of such persons will be been arrested by now. But Gumi goes free, does these things, argues on behalf of terrorists. Recently, he told the world that we should go and negotiate with the terrorists.
There are times I go to the mainstream television like channel would be penalized 5 million naira for carrying me on. All that is a strategy by the state to stifle reportings and truth tellings about the Fulani war. Now look at where it is. They were too pathetic, and in some cases they were paid money. If you refuse to do what the state asks, they won't give you advert. And if you check, most media houses, they make money from the advert from the state. So if you refuse to do what they want, they won't give you business. Sometimes they will also undermine you through other ways. So this is what the government did, using their control of governance to influence the behavior of the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission to actually hound the media, and the other side, individuals who go out and outrightly bribe the media to not report, even if anybody has any of that news item, so as to keep the Fulani jihad low and out of public gaze. It's been on now for 10, 12 years, and this is how this has been. So it is impossible to say the government is not complicit. The government is complicit. You could see the day that President Tinubu went to Benue, and he said, what? Killings? Why are there no arrests? In 48 hours, there were arrests. That tells you the state is complicit. Because the state is complicit, there's no arrest. So those arrests were only done 48 hours after Tinubu complained on his visit to Benue. He said, why are there no arrests? Then in 48 hours, arrests were done. So it just tells you the people Buhari put in charge of security was like Afghanistan in our country. That is taking those who are loyal to the insurgents into the army. You see also they say they assimilate the Boko Haram people into the army. This Boko Haram and the other militias, Fulani Herdsmen militia and Gandokoi militia, the Mieti Allah Kautohori militia, the Tabita Pulaku militia, these are all militias that are known to government. These are militia whose members are known to us, like Bello Turji, he came from Nigeria Republic to start this here. Abdullah Bello Bodejo, he came from Nigeria Republic to start his there. Though when he came, he stationed himself in Bauchi, but later on he came now to build this militia army in Nasarawa State, which he uses to attack the Benue Basin. So these things are well known to Niger. People sometimes get arrested, they then get released because they have powerful patrons who are still in positions of power. And this is the problem. How are you going to get a man in power position to go against you in terms of a terrorist? Just like, remember when Kabiru Sokoto was arrested for the bombing.
Yes, Christmas bombing. Yeah, Christmas bombing. Yeah.
It was later seen in the home of the present vice president of Nigeria.
No, you never hear the gist, sir. The president, vice president, they don't respond now. I talk, say, you don't know what Kabir Sokoto won't do. He wanted to kidnap his children, sir. He said it in the news now.
Forget those stories. Listen, he is known on newspapers to have championed for amnesty for the Boko Haram people. You also heard what him the running talks between him and his former boss.
Yes.
Former governor.
Ahmadu Sharif. Ali Modu Sharif.
Now, Ali Modu Sharif said it was Shetima that started Boko Haram. Now, from what I know, it was Ali Sharif that first used resources to set up the Ekumok boys. Ekumok boys were the pool from where Shetima got some people whom he convinced that Ali Modu Sharif is just using them, this Ekumok boy militia, and bet that they are not doing well for the rest of the state. Why? At that time, Ali Modu Sharif, who comes from Gamboru Galda, was accused that everything is being monopolized by Gamboru Galda. So the other clans of the Kanuris protested and then fine-tuned the heads of the boys who were formerly in the Ekumok Boys Battalion, and they now metamorphosed into Boko Haram. Don't forget at the beginning, when they were used as a branch of government, blah, 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 religious affairs, Ali Modu Sharif did appoint their coordinator, nominated by their lawyer, by their leader, Muhammad Yusuf. Ali Modu made him a commissioner. At that time, they were bearing the name Ekumok Boys. So later on, when things didn't go well, Ali Modu Sharif took charge and then recalibrated them, and the Boko Haram was born. So it's not like we do not know this, and this is the reasons why, no matter how you bring up the names of sponsors of terrorism, nothing happened, because a lot of the patrons of terrorism are people in government, and that's why we've never had results. So that's why a lot of us are a little bit very happy that the Americans are finally taking interest in our country.
But the Chinese not they happy about answer.
That's nice. Chinese just make noise.
How?
They like to just, the Chinese will want to keep quiet, don't disturb you, do what you, if you like, kill all your uncles. They don't care as far as you are peaceful enough to do business with them. What have they done since? They kept quiet.